Well, welcome to another episode of Port Charles Chat. I'm Mom.
I'm Brandon.
Thank you so much for joining with us again.
Yes, thank you for joining us as always.
All right, Brandon, are you ready to talk about another exciting week at General Hospital?
Mom, I sure am.
All right, guys, we are talking about the week of April 6th through April 10th. And just so you know, we are taping this on April the 14th of 2026. Are you ready, Brandon?
Mom, I'm as ready as ever. Are you?
I am. And in my mind, this is the week of Jordan's car accident. So in this particular week, Jordan, as I mentioned, is in a car accident. She swerves so that she doesn't hit another car. The question that the audience has is, who was it she swerving around? Was it Brooklyn? Was it Isaiah? Was it Charlotte? Was it Danny? These are some of the people who stand out, or people who it appears as though it could have been at that time period. All right, Brandon, even though we know who did it by the time of this taping, in your mind, who are you thinking did it during that time period?
You know, I am still going to say Brooklyn, but I mean, we see her drinking the wine at the beginning of the week. We see her heading into the car, and the camera did such a lovely zoom into the wine. From there, and Brooklyn giving all these super guilty looks before she even realized there was something to be guilty about. That being said, there's some other equally suspicious people, but again, similar to the whole thing with Drew shooting, I feel like the suspicious people are going to get more suspicious.
Yes, I believe so too, Brandon. And I'm all with you. I think it was Brooklyn also. And like you kind of said, the way the camera shots and how she looks guilty into the camera, it looks like a Brooklyn type of thing. I don't think she meant it. She just happened to do so. So anyway, during this particular car crash, Jordan and Curtis and Jordan, like I mentioned, were together. But who rescued Curtis was someone who I was not expecting, and that was Valentine. So in this particular scene, Carly and Valentine ended up being at the scene because they received a phone call from Charlotte to help her because she was in a car accident herself down the road, and Valentine ran into Curtis, but he did help take Jordan out of the car, and then Valentine disappeared again. So this is the big scene for the car crash. All right, Brandon. We also had the opening of Charlie's. What were your thoughts about the opening of Charlie's?
Well, I definitely want to backtrack a little bit and say, as you know, General Hospital puts out a sort of weekly 16-second teaser for the week. The one for last week was titled "No One Is Safe," and so the big story outside of Jordan is indeed Charlie's reopening, and that was interesting. I didn't expect it to take up as much of the week as it did in the sense of its prevalence, but we see Gio returning to playing, but this time not with the violin, but rather with the guitar, and Trina singing, and Jacinda with a lovely song that nobody knows.
Yes. And actually, I was surprised too, Brandon, that open mic night was what they concentrated on for this particular episode. I don't know if that meant that they were leaning towards something, meaning that someone will be singing at a later time period. But you're correct. We did hear Trina singing. We did see Gio playing the guitar. It was a way for Brooklyn to have to get to where she needed to be. And so I guess we also had this nice bonding moment between Gio and his parents. So, I'm not quite sure what they were hinting at, or if this was just a way to kind of get everyone together. We also saw that Christina and Jalindo were getting closer too. All right. Then we have Isaiah and Lulu.
Jacinda?
Jacinda?
You said Jalinda.
Then we also see that Christina and Jacinda are seen to be getting closer also. Alrighty. And so our next group of people I want to talk about are Isaiah and Lulu. Lulu, intending for Rocco, realizes that Rocco's hand is not healing yet. And so she calls Isaiah in order to come over and take a look at it. Isaiah does come over. He does realize that his cut is infected, and he does treat the cut. Of course, this means that he has a time period in which he's not he is not accountable from in regards to Portia. All right. Then we have Danny and Sonny. Danny has decided he needs to join the mob in order to help his father. And he tells this or declares it to Sonny. Rick happens to be there too. And then and, and then Sonny later tells Rick that Rick needs to go and tell Alexis. That in itself was kind of funny to watch. All right. Then we have Carly and Valentine. We kind of touched on them earlier, but as you know, Valentine is staying with Carly. And then once they get the phone call from Charlotte, they do go out to rescue the kids. And Valentine does run into Curtis. And so, for the audience perspective, the thought is, will Curtis tell who he saw there? And when will it come out? Because I'm sure that Jordan, when she wakes up, is going to say that she heard Valentine. All right. And then we have Brennan, Carly, and Valentine. If we think of them all as a unit, basically Brennan and Valentine basically get jealous in regards to Carly. And then we have Nathan and Britt. And this is the third story, I think, for me that kind of stood out this week. And that is um, that Britt actually recognizes that Nathan is really Cassius. And she calls him this. And so we do get the backstory of Nathan and Britt and Cassius. And they both go and visit Sidwell. And so it was kind of interesting to watch this. And then Lucy has decided that she wants to get back at Sidwell. So that in itself should be entertaining at a later time period. All right, Brandon, that's all I have for this week. What about you?
Yes, definitely. The Valentine jealousy storyline has continued on, and so I'm sure he's about to do something reckless and stupid.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will. All right. Did you have anything else to add for the stories for the week, Brandon?
And did we mention that Charlotte is not telling the truth?
Yeah. Yes, that is correct. Charlotte, to the best of our knowledge, is not telling the truth in regards to the car accident.
But yes, so quite a lot of interesting things happening here, all at play, and it does seem that 88 Turner is a bit suspicious of Sidwell.
Yes, it does seem like that. All right. You ready to talk about our performers of the week, Brandon?
We can go right ahead.
All righty. The performer for the week for me was actually, I believe, Jacinda. I think that she is slowly making her way onto the platform as she is beginning to come alive as a character. They did it slowly, and so it's been nice to watch. And so I did like her interaction with Christina and then with Michael, all, together at the club. But I just think Jacinda's doing a good job. My second number two would be Jordan. Um, but if there was not a car accident, the question would be, would I have said Jordan? And so I leaned back more heavily on Jacinda with Jordan as a far away two. All right, Bram, what about you?
So I'm actually going to choose Valentine.
Oh, that sounds good. And why are you choosing Valentine?
Well, not just because he did actually help out Jordan, but I really like his jealousy scenes and how he's just pouting around the house and just being a little bit more reckless and, just leaving out for no reason and coming back in and storming off and making petty insults to Carly. So I just thought he was quite amusing. We get to see a little bit different because we've seen him over the past few months develop this relationship with Carly and whatnot, but he never seems to, leave from that spot. They've been plotting this revenge for such a long time, so it's nice to see him doing something different and actually for once risking his freedom. He won't do it for Charlotte, but he'll do it to help out Jordan.
Yeah, he sure will. And then for my amusing scene of the week, Brandon, it goes to back to what you just said, and it was Carly and Valentine, and just watching them as Valentine says that he does get jealous, and so that to me was kind of my amusing scene of the week. All right, what about you?
Danny wants to join the mob.
Yes, as he declared he was joining the mob.
But yes, and then I thought it was amusing with Sonny handing the briefcase over to Rick, and that he has to be the one that delivers the news to Alexis, even though he knows very well that Alexis and Rick cannot stand each other.
Yes, yeah, that was fun to watch too. All right. And as for touching moments, for me, it was kind of everyone in regards to Jordan being in the car accident. And so that to me was kind of the touching moments of the week. What about you, Bran?
I'm going to agree with that, and I'm going to pick one that is a touching moment, but one that you could also view a little bit humorous as well, and that is that everyone at Charlie's gets to know about the car accident because, well, Trina finds out the news. She tells Kai, Gio, and Emma over here, and then Michael goes to talk to Trina on the way out, and it's like great performance. It's like I can't go. My dad was in an accident, so all of Charlie's now knows about this accident. But I mean, again, I'm glad that everyone showed some concern for Jordan and Curtis. But I also thought it was a bit amusing the fact that this whole pub now is fully familiar with this accident that pertains nothing to them.
Yes, yes. All right. And then as for missing scene of the week, I had one this week, and that is Jacinda singing. They kind of, it appeared as though Jacinda was getting ready to sing. And I want to say that they applauded like she did sing. And of course, I know acting and everything, but it seemed like to me that Jacinda was singing and they cut it. That is my idea. I have no basis for that whatsoever. But that is the scene to me that was missing for the week. And we just saw Jacinda on and one of the platforms out there giving it speaking, and she did mention that she does sing on the side. All right, Brandon, what about you? What did you have a missing scene of the week?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely will agree with that, especially with sort of the teases that they've had leading up to this moment. So I'm gonna say that's sort of the missing scene, if you will.
Okay. I didn't have any fast forward moments this week. What about you?
No,
All righty. And actually, I didn't even have any welcome backs. Did you have any welcome backs?
not to my knowledge.
All right. I didn't have any goodbyes. Did you have any?
No.
All right. But then I have some where are yous. And I go back to the Quartermains. Where's Ned? Where's Tracy? They're the two who I was looking for this week. What about you, Bran?
Mom, I have a character that, even though we don't expect them to be on this week or anytime soon, I do have a character I miss and I'd like to see back.
Who is that?
I miss Lois.
Yes, we did talk about that. And yes, I think Lois would be a great addition at this time.
Yes, maybe. I mean, I wouldn't foresee Lois missing the chance to see little Phoebe.
Yes, yeah, yeah. She would be up and down, excited to be able to meet little Phoebe.
So yeah, so I'm hopefully we're able to see her stop by at some point in time in the near future.
Yep, I hope so too. All right, Brandon, is there anything you're looking forward to for the upcoming week?
Well, I'm definitely excited. I mean, um, even though again we're recording this in the new week, ending out last week, I was very excited to see that hopefully it'd be shown that Rick telling Alexis about Danny wanting to join the mob.
Yes. Hopefully they will join. They will talk about that also next week.
Yes, yes. But that's one of the things I'm looking forward to, and I'm excited to see for the upcoming week, which is now this week, a bit more about whatever Willow is up to, because it definitely seems that she sort of has a plan, because she did find out that, of course, Kai and Trina are knowledgeable of everything. So the question is, what's she going to do about that, and what is this going to be a strategic move on her part, or is this going to be an impulsive move?
Yes, yeah, that is true, and that'll be interesting to watch. Spoiler alert: they do something there, so you guys have to stay tuned to see what happens with them coming up. All right, Brandon. Anything else?
Mom, I don't think so.
All righty. Well, we thank everybody for watching today.
We look forward to seeing you next time.
All right, have a great day, everybody.